Eagle, a channel that focuses on macroeconomics and current trends. If you like the content, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Natural gas prices have surged in the past week to US $3.43 per million British thermal units, leading to rising uncertainty in the Middle East and an unusually cold winter so far in North America. A proposed $400+ billion injection in China stimulus also being a contributing factor. Interesting to note that the Slovakian Prime Minister Robert Fico meeting with President Vladimir Putin, making him the second European leader after Viktor Orban to guarantee that their populations secure natural gas supplies. Together with the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, announced that the group will extend cuts in 2026 due to falling global demand and the need to maintain budgetary balance in the Middle East developing countries. So it looks like an artificial floor has been placed under the price of crude oil due to the reasons already mentioned. On this image, you can see that although the world wants to make and do things in a more sustainable way, this picture shows how fundamental oil still continues to play in our day-to-day lives. Speaking of China, the government there, after previously spending numerous hundreds of billions of yuan to stimulate its economy, it now appears to be running out of steam. The big problem in China is that the private sector is heavily geared to residential real estate market. As most people by now are aware that real estate in the top tier cities in China have fallen in value and a number of major construction companies have gone bankrupt. The stimulus has been injected into the economy is not having the effect that the government intends. In 2009, after the fallout of the global financial crisis, huge stimulus was globally synchronized, including in China, which led to a boom in economic output. This time round, the Chinese economy is approximately $17.7 trillion equivalent, whereas in 2009 it was a $5 trillion economy, which means the stimulus required to have the same effect is multiples than previous ones. Also, other governmental priorities are a factor where China is focusing on investing in such projects like 6th generation fighter programs and general aviation industry to make them more competitive to Airbus and Boeing's global dominance. To Australia, the IMF has come out publicly to warn the Reserve Bank of Australia to be vigilant when it comes to lowering interest rates. The reasons include continued and increasing costs in government spending, in age pensions, defence and healthcare especially, and green fund initiatives to reduce carbon emissions. As the chart demonstrates, inflation has been falling precipitously over the last 2 years. However, the 2.8% in inflation read for the third quarter of 2024 means that inflation is still in the upper end of the RBA's 2 to 3% range, so they'll be less willing to lower the official cash rate aggressively until that number falls closer to the 2% level. Of course, this is purely academic and abstract, as the inflation rates from the last, say, 2 years doesn't truly reflect the real cost of living for the average citizen. Insurance for home, healthcare, food, energy. I'm pretty confident in saying the prices of these items are far more than the so-called 2.8% on the quarter. Also, policies like the Energy Bill Relief Fund rebates are designed to reduce the calculation of inflation. So if the government chooses to remove it federally, then inflation climbs. New data revealed that South America's biggest economy, Brazil's unemployment rate fell to 6.1%. The overall rise in employment was led by industry, up 2.9%, and shows the last time an unemployment figure was this low was in 2014. Brazil is a diversified economy that has attributes like Australia, having a lot of mineral resources, particularly iron ore, and big agricultural exports, but also advanced manufacturing with companies like Embraer, which produce airplanes. Added to this is Brazil has a total workforce of 103 million people, which makes it an economic powerhouse in South America and a very strategic player in the Global South and BRICS Nations Alliance. The country is currently running a trade surplus, with the most recent November print coming in at US $7 billion. Wage growth is at a 2-year high as well, which sits at 3,225 Brazilian real per month, equivalent to US 520 per month. Concerns for the depreciating currency is on one hand helping the exporting companies, but is hurting the local economy as any import goods continue to climb, which poses a challenge to the government and central bank. Turning to the debt market, as it's colloquially called, is the government bond market. The US 10-year rate has risen sharply to the most recent print of 4.63%, the highest number in 6 months. The chart shows that on a 5-year price action, it is nearing at all-time highs. The 10-year bond is so crucial not only for the United States, but the whole world, as futures, options, mortgages, car loans, and a vast array of financial products and services determine their risk profile, adjusted for the 10-year. We have been told in mainstream financial media that the reserve banks of countries control interest rates. The response to this is that in the short term, governments can manipulate the bond markets, typically at lower duration bonds, timescale such as 3 years and shorter. But the 10-year and onwards represents inflation projections, growth, and governments' balance sheets, and how prudent or reckless they are at managing the debts. If they are reckless, the market punishes governments by demanding a high rate of interest in return for that increase of default risk, and vice versa. Currently, the trajectory seems to be only higher rates for the long-term bonds. Well, that's all, people, for this episode. Wishing you every happy festivities over the holiday break and a happy and prosperous 2025. Once again, I'll catch you next year. Eagle out.